Greetings, chess players. Today's lesson, we will be going through essential checkmates. Knowing these is critical for the beginner player, because if you don't know how to checkmate in the most common forms, I guess a good metaphor would be like starting a marathon without knowing where the finish line is. It's going to be hard to win chess games. So you all know how to move the pieces now, and you all know some basic tactics and the rules of chess. Now I want to work on these essential checkmates with you. The first pattern we're going to look at is a king and two rooks versus a king. So white has a 10-point advantage right here. The first thing you're going to want to do is play a cutoff move. Notice I say cutoff move, not check. So in this case, we could play rook to a4 or rook to h4. Go ahead and play rook a4, Rosaleia. By the way, this is my daughter, Rosaleia. Anybody who's a regular to our chess camps already know Rosaleia. So Rosaleia, draw the cutoff move for us. Move your finger across the fourth rank. So the black king cannot step down because you are not allowed to step into check. So black king goes to d5. Now, the rook on a4 is our front foot. Go ahead and point to that row. So we leave that alone, and we look for our back foot. Find our back foot, Rosaleia. The rook on h1 is our back foot. We want to take a step forward with our back foot. So rook goes to h5. Notice how the back foot goes one rank ahead of the front foot. This pattern will alternate. That is a check. Show them the check row. So the rook on h5 is checking the king. The king cannot stay in the fifth rank. Fourth rank. The king cannot move to the fourth rank, so it has to go to rank number 6. Let's have the black king go to c6. Okay, so now we need to find our back foot. The rook on a4 is our back foot. It is behind the rook on h5, which is our front foot. So we need to move our back foot forward. That's how we walk. So the back foot moves forward, rook a4 to a6. It says check. And the black king cannot go to the fifth rank. So the black king has to go to rank number 7. Here the best move would be to go to b7. Black king goes to b7. Because then the king is threatening the rook on a6. Now, in this kind of situation, we don't want to put our rook on h6. We could, but we don't want to move that up to defend the other rook. We want to take our rook on a6 and slide it all the way over to g6. Notice I didn't put it on h6, because had I put it on h6, then the rooks couldn't have walked forward. So the black king goes to c7. And again, we find our back foot, the rook on h5. The rook on h5 goes to h7 and says check. The black king cannot stay in the 7th rank, cannot move to the 6th rank, has to move to the 8th rank. Black king goes to d8. And finally, we find our back foot and move it forward to g8. The king, that is a check. The king cannot stay in the 8th rank, cannot move to the 7th rank, and can't go to the 9th rank because there isn't one. So that is a checkmate, a very common checkmate. We call this the rook roller. It's commonly known as the rook roller. Everybody should know how to do this. All right, Rosaleia, go ahead and take the white rooks off. Put the black king on, yeah, sure, E8. Put the white king on C4. Put a black rook on G8. And put a black rook on B8. Okay. It really doesn't matter where we put the pieces. Black has a 10-point advantage and should definitely win this once they get their rook roller rolling. So the first thing we do is play a cutoff move. Rook B5 would be a disaster. Go ahead and point to B5 row because the king would eat it. So we play Rook G5. The black king goes to D4, or I'm sorry, the white king goes to D4. And now we need to figure out which is our back foot. Now remember, we're walking downwards. So our back foot is actually the rook on B8. Take a step forward with it, row. Further, there you go. Rook goes to B4. Check. The king cannot stay in the 4th rank, cannot go to the 5th rank because of our cutoff rook. Has to go to the 3rd rank. White king goes to C3. All right, so we've already seen what to do with rooks. When a king's attacking a rook and you're trying to do a rook roller, you slide. So the rook goes all the way to H4. Nice that the rooks are so much faster than the king. White king tries to get back toward them, goes to D3. Again, which is our back foot? We are moving down. Since we're moving down, our back foot is the one that's higher up on the board, and that is Rook G3 check. King cannot go to the 4th rank. Show the 4th rank all the way across, please, row. Our rook is guarding the 4th rank, so the king has to go to E2. Again, we look for our back foot forward, check. White king cannot stay in the 2nd rank. White king cannot go to the 3rd rank. White king has to go to the 1st rank. Best move here would be F1. And now, should we play Rook G3 to G1? No, that would be a very, very bad idea. So we want to slide a rook. We can actually save a move here, though, by sliding our H rook to A2. Because now the white king has to move. White king goes to E1. And now, which is our back foot? The rook on G3, of course. Rook on G3. Takes a step forward, goes to G1. Check, mate. All right, let's try it one more time. Row, put 2 white rooks on, take the black rooks off. Where's the other white rook? There it is. I'll trade you. This time, row, please put the black king on B5. And let's see, let's have a rook on C1 and a rook on g7. Now, which side of the board is the black king closest to? Yes, the A file. It's closest to that edge of the board. Can the black king move to the C file? No, he's already cut off. He's already cut off. So if we were going to be walking to the left, our back foot would be on rook g7, and it takes a step forward to rook b7. Check. Can the black king stay in the B file? Can the black king move to the C file? No, cut off there. So the black king goes to A6 to attack the rook. Again, when our rooks are under attack, we're going to slide. So the rook on B7 slides to B2. Rooks are faster than the king. King goes to A5. And now we need to find our back foot. The rook on C1 is our back foot because we're walking to the left. So take a step forward with the rook on C1, and it goes to A1. And that is a check. The king cannot move to the B file because it is cut off. And so that is a checkmate. Go ahead and take the rooks off, row. We just saw how to checkmate with 2 rooks, which is 10 points. Now, let's see how to checkmate with 9 points. Put the queen on C1, please, row. And the black king on E5. Okay, that works. Rosaleia chose the square for us. That's fine. So we want to play a cutoff move again. So where's our best cutoff move? Queen goes to C4. Can the black king move down to the 4th rank? No, it's cut off. And do you see this funny L shape? Show them the funny L shape, row. Yeah, the queen is in a knight's L shape with the king. And a queen does not move like a knight, so that is not a check. However, that is most useful because now whichever way the black king moves, the white king can copy. So, for instance, if the black king goes up and to the left, black king goes to D6, the white queen should go up and to the left. Queen goes to B5. If the black king goes straight to the right, king goes to E6. The white queen should go straight to the right. If the black king goes up to the right, the white queen should go up to the right. If the black king goes up to the left, the white queen should go up to the left. Notice we still have an L shape. We still have the L shape. We've kept it the whole time. Now the king's on the edge of the board. Once the king's on the edge of the board, we don't need to chase him with the queen anymore. So the black king goes to F8. What we need to do is bring our king up so we can do an in-your-face mate. So king, how about F2, row? Just to, save us maybe a little bit of time. Black king goes to G8. White king goes to G3. We got to bring our king up. Help the queen out to do an in-your-face mate. Black king goes to F8. White king goes to F4. Black king goes to G8. White king goes to G5. Black king goes to F8. White king goes to F6. And now black has 2 choices. Let's just have him go to G8. And now you're going to see why we call this an in-your-face mate. Ro, show them the sandwich first, though. So we've got bread. One of the kings is bread. The queen you can call peanut butter. And the other king is bread. When you have that sandwich structure, you are set to look for an in-your-face mates. Go ahead, Ro, show them the in-your-face mates. The white queen gets put in black's face. Can the black king take it? No, because the white king is defending it, and kings are never allowed to be on adjacent squares. Ro, take the white queen off. Let's put a black queen on. Okay, that's a good spot for that. Let's have the white king on, why don't we say C, or, okay, yeah, that's fine. D4 is fine. And the black king goes on, how about A8?
Queen.
I'm sorry, black queen goes on A8 maybe. That's fine. All right, so we want to play a cutoff move. Black should totally win. So black plays queen A5. So the white king, let's say the white king goes to E4. Now we want to do that L shape. We want to make that L shape. So the black queen would go to C5. C5. See the L shape? There we go. So now whichever direction the white king goes, the black queen will chase. The white king goes to F3. Black queen goes to D4. White king goes to G2. Black queen goes to E3. White king goes to H1. And here is the big exception to the rule, ladies and gentlemen. The big exception to the rule. Bro, go ahead and put the queen on F2 just for now. We would never do this in a game, because if you do this, the king has nowhere to go. White has no other pieces to move. If your opponent does not have a legal move and is not in check, it is called a stalemate. And unfortunately, even though black is easily winning, this would be a draw. And that would be a painful draw. So, queen goes back on E3, is where it was. And instead of playing queen F2, we're just going to play queen E2. It's still a cutoff move, but it allows white wiggle room. See, white can wiggle to G1. And now we need to bring the black king to form the sandwich. Black king goes to F7. White king goes to H1. Black king goes to G6. White king goes to G1. Black king goes to G5. White king goes to H1. Black king goes to G4. White king goes to G1. Black king goes to G3. White king goes to H1, and now we have an in-your-face mate. We have our sandwich. That would also be a checkmate. Not quite, I guess it is an in-your-face mate. I was thinking H2 myself, though. But that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And let's go ahead and look at checkmating with one rook. Let's just introduce the concept. You guys are very new to chess, and so this might seem a little bit difficult to you, but we'll break it down. Black king on E5. White king on E1. And a white rook on A1. So again, now we only have 5 points. First we had 10 points. That was 2 rooks. Then we had 9 points. That was 1 queen. And now we have 5 points. That is 1 rook. So, again, we play a cutoff move. Rook goes to a4. Black king cannot move down. He is cut off. Black king goes to d5. And here we need to start bringing our king up early because our rook is by itself. It cannot checkmate the black king by itself. So white king goes to d2. Black king goes to c5. And now the black king is closer to our rook than we are. Do you see that? The black king is in the c file. The white king is in the d file. And the white rook's in the a file. So the black king's closer. I don't like that. Oftentimes, I play speed chess online. I might get down to having to do a checkmate like this in just a few seconds. I don't want to accidentally have the black king take my rook at all. So slide the rook all the way to h4 right now. The only way black can get a draw out of this, likely way, I mean, I guess you could stalemate if you really tried hard, but the only likely way is if you accidentally lose your rook. So black king goes, we move our rook far away from the king. Black king goes back to d5. And now we want to be 1 step ahead of him. 1 step ahead of the king. So we play white king to e3. This way, when the black king goes to e5, the 2 kings are in opposition. Bro, put your hand over the rook so we don't see it. Even if that rook was not there, even if the rook was not there, neither king could move forward. Do you see that? That is called opposition. When the black king steps into opposition, take your hand off the rook, the bells and alarms go off in our head, and we know we can play rook h5. That is when we can move our rook up. So now the rook is checking the black king. It is checking the black king. The black king cannot go to d4, cannot go to e4, cannot go to f4, because it is in opposition. The black king cannot stay in the 5th rank, because our rook controls the 5th rank. So the black king goes to f6. Okay, the black king is 1 step closer to our rook. He is in the f file, our rook is in the h file. So we move our rook to the other side of the board. That way he never even gets close to it. Black king goes to e6. Black king goes to e6. And now we need to be 1 step ahead. White king goes to d4. Now if the black king wants to move toward our rook, he steps into opposition. Black king goes to d6. Again, that is opposition. Every time your opponent steps into opposition, you can move your rook forward and check them. Go ahead, Rosaleia. No, forward and check them. You can get it.
Stop.
There. The rook is checking the black king. The black king cannot go to c5, cannot go to d5, cannot go to e5 because he's in opposition. The 2 kings are opposing each other. So the black king goes to c7. And he's 1 step closer to our rook, so we slide our rook over to h6. Black king goes to d7. And again, we move 1 step ahead. We know where he's going, so we move ahead of him. Black king goes to e7, steps into opposition. Every time they step in opposition, bells and alarms go off in our head. we move our rook forward and say check. Rook is controlling the 7th rank. The black king cannot move down because he's in opposition, so he goes to f8. He's one step closer to our rook, so we slide our rook to the other side of the board. Black king goes to e8. Now we want to be one step ahead, so we play king d6. Black king does not want to go to d8 because he would get checkmated. He knows this. So he goes to f8. And again, we want to stay one step between him and our rook, so we go to e6. White king goes to e6. One move to the right. There you go. Black king goes to g8. White king goes to f6. Black king goes to h8. White king goes to g6. Black king goes to g8. And that is opposition. Every time he steps into opposition, we can move our rook forward. Rook goes to a8. The rook on a8 is checking the king, so he cannot stay in the 8th rank. He cannot go to the 7th rank because the kings are in opposition. Therefore, it is checkmate. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson on our essential checkmates. These are all checkmates that every chess player should know. There's a couple more intermediate mates that we'll look at a future time, but I feel satisfied right now that you, all of you, should understand how to checkmate with 2 rooks using the rook ruler, how to checkmate with a queen using the in-your-face mate, and how to checkmate with just 1 rook. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Torres. This is Rosaleia, and you are watching the live stream of the Daily Chess Musings Free Online Summer Camp 2020. Thank you. Oh, good.